Welcome, everybody, to Connection is Magic. I'm your host, Samson Schulman, a former music executive turned podcaster and coach. In a world obsessed with the highlight reel and keeping our difficulties hidden behind the curtain, we end up feeling lonely and isolated, and opportunities for human connection are missed. On this podcast, we dive deep with our guests and get them to share those dreaded, unfiltered pieces. We learn how to make lemonade out of life's lemons and realize adversity isn't sent to break us, but rather shape us into the greatest versions of ourselves. We appreciate you spending some time with us. Now let's begin our journey back home to connection. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Connection is Magic, formerly called The Hustle Sanctuary. I just want to give a quick check-in and tell you why I decided to change the name to Connection is Magic. Formerly, the podcast was created in 2016 out in Los Angeles when I worked in the music industry, and I felt like everybody was going. Nobody was really getting real about all the stress and anxieties and everything that they were facing, so I set up shop with this podcast called The Hustle Sanctuary, which I thought fit it well. Come on the show, get real if you're having troubled waters, share about that. If you're having joys and victories and learning from your experience, share about that in a real and meaningful way. So that whole vehicle worked really well for that. But now I decided to take the podcast to kind of a deeper, more broader space. So Connection's Magic, I think, just is more inclusive. Everybody can speak to that, I feel like, needing that connection, especially, with the pandemic. And I feel our society basically doesn't really make it safe to share what we're really feeling, One, we don't want to maybe share our joys, our victories with other people. We might make them feel uncomfortable. Two, what we're feeling behind the curtain. We keep that within. It's like if you cross somebody in the street, and ask them how they're doing, they could have just gotten divorced yesterday, but they're going to tell you what answer? I'm doing fine. So this podcast speaks to that. To bring it full circle, my time in the music industry, what drew me to that was artists share things that we're maybe uncomfortable to share. And so we get healing and resonance with their messages. The best songs are like horrible breakup songs, right? And so they just put all that out there in a way that we might not have the courage to put out there, or just, if they're on top of the world, we relate to that too. So the whole idea of Connection is Magic, being seen for who you really are, what's really going on inside. I've been a part of the 12-step community since I was 23 years old when I bottomed out from a gambling addiction. And ultimately, I found my way into the depths of despair. And I was living in my girlfriend's basement at the time and taking back bottles so I could play the lottery and mooching food off of her family. I mean, it was super bad. And I go into these rooms. You guys have probably heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. Well, they have a program for basically every addiction you could have. And in these rooms, people just break it down and share from the depths of their soul, unfiltered. And it's super refreshing to hear that level of honesty that we don't really get to hear, I think, in everyday society. Then it occurred to me, why is this limited to just people with addiction problems? This is a humanity thing. We all go through ups and downs. It's not if you have an addiction that qualifies you to talk about this stuff. I think it's if you have a pulse, you're qualified to talk about this stuff, because we all feel it. This major breakthrough that's happened with mental health in general over the last several years, it's become mainstream, and thank God for that, because I think people withholding sharing what was really going on for them was boiling over, and it's led to finally this breakthrough where we're like, it's time to just be real and connect with others and show our shared humanity. And again, that includes our joys and what we're grateful for. It's not all about like bottoming out, sharing that. It's just sharing the broad view, because the crashes are what make the mountaintops so much sweeter. and the wisdom is priceless that we get when we crash. And getting to share what we learned with others, empowering them, and having other people realize that they're not the only ones going through something, because we all feel that way when we go through things. We feel like it's only us. And I think that's the sickness of the culture, that has us feeling that way. Nothing's wrong with you if you're in that place. You're right where you're supposed to be. And everything that you gain from the adversity that you face really helps develop you into who you were meant to be. And the last factor behind what drove me to create this platform is, think about how crisis unifies us. But when crisis isn't happening, it feels like we shrink back from each other and go back into our own little zone with our walls up. Think like 9/11, right? Think the 2008 crash. Think school shootings, the Las Vegas shooting, most recently this pandemic. Everybody's so unified. And then when the crisis passes, we invariably go back to this place of disconnection. And I just feel like that is, that's shitty. I don't know any other way to say that, because connection feels so great. Being unified feels so great. I just wish that it didn't take crisis to make that happen. So another reason that I'm excited about this platform is to bring guests on, to be able to go to that space, go within, and anybody tuning in, listening, hopefully will be inspired, will be touched, will feel resonance, because we're just discussing humanity at the end of the day. And we're all human beings having our own human experience, and we think it's so unique, yet it's basically universal. That's the funny thing. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm excited to share these upcoming episodes with you and hope you get a lot out of it. Please remember to comment, like, and share with any family, friends. If you feel anything from this, if it touches you in some way, please do that. That would really mean the world to me. Let's get this word out there to as many people as possible who need it. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.